What's up everyone, Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we're talking about Mamoswine. This Pokemon is interesting. It used to be pretty solid in the meta, and honestly it just has kind of struggled to have a foothold in this meta in VGC 2020. Dynamax has buffed it. It has really good max moves. It's also pretty bulky when it's maxed. It's also just pretty strong. It has a very solid attack stat and good abilities, two really good abilities. So honestly, like, the Pokemon still has like reason to be a good Pokemon. It just, I don't really know why. It just hasn't really been performing very well this season. But regardless, it's still pretty cool. It's very interesting. And yeah, let's talk about it. So Ice Ground typing is not great. It provides 1 immunity, 1 resistance, but 5 2x effective weaknesses, which are all very prevalent in the meta. We have an immunity being electric and 1 resistance being poison, but poison isn't very prevalent. And then immunity, like, you know, electric immunity is nice, but to get 5 weaknesses is very, very rough. Fire, water, grass, fighting, and steel all are very bad for this Pokemon and do a lot of damage, and the Pokemon's not insanely bulky. It has very good HP, but defense and special defense are just like pretty average, so you know, it can feint pretty easily to a lot of those attacks, and there are a lot of big, very big special attacking Pokemon that do all those damage, and same with just physical attack in general. So it is pretty, you know, it struggles with its typing, but it's pretty okay because we also have weakness policy Dynamax, which is really good for this Pokemon. Since it has so many weaknesses, it's going to get hit by a weakness attack really early, and you can also self-proc it with things like Aqua Jet or Bullet Punch or even Mach Punch. So there's a lot of ways to make this Pokemon a little bit better as far as our typing goes, which is okay. Our ability is really good. We have Oblivious, which is pretty much just, it can't get intimidated, it can't be taunted, which isn't really anything for this set, but it could be good. But yeah, being you know, not being able to get intimidated is really, really good. With Intimidate, Arcanine, and Incineroar running everywhere, it's, you know, combined is the most used Pokemon, those two. So Oblivious is good. We also have Thick Fat, which gives us, you know, like half damage from things like Fire and Ice type, which is pretty good, but, you know, not as good. Being unintimidated is pretty strong. Anyway, so as far as our stats go, pretty solid across the board, but like I said, it's like a little lacking at some places. So HP 110, which is very solid, and when you Dynamax, it's very solid. And then Defense 80, which is like okay, it's average. And then Special Defense 60, which is just slightly under average. So, you know, not super bulky, but can take a hit or two, which is really good. And then for our attack, we have 130, which is by far its best stat. Very, very offensive, very high attack. It can't get intimidated. Just really good in general. You know, all that can really happen is like Worm Wind. But, you know, 130 is very, very good. You know, of course, like Parting Shot and being burned also. But I just mean like very easy, things that are going to happen all the time. It can't get intimidated, which is really good. And then we also have speed at 80, which is very, very solid, actually, putting us at a decent speed tier. It's not amazing speed tier, but we're on the same speed tier and outspeed a couple of really good Pokemon. And after potentially an Ice Shard, not Ice Shard, an Icy Wind, we outspeed just about everything, or like 1 Max Airstream or Tailwind. It's very, very good. So yeah, that's about it for our overview. Let's go ahead and talk about the build itself. So as far as the build itself goes, ability Oblivious, like I was saying, being unintimidated is very, very strong. As our item, we're using weakness policy. Like I said, we have 5 big weaknesses and ways to self-proc our weakness policy. So weakness policy makes a lot of sense on this Pokemon. Also, Dynamax makes its HP very, very good since it has a very solid base HP. We're hitting close to 400 without any investment, which is really, really solid after Dynamax. So weakness policy makes it pretty useful. A couple of other options are Life Orb, Choice Band, or Assault Vest. All are pretty good, especially since it doesn't really need any status attacks. Like, it can even go without Protect for the Choice Band or the Assault Vest. And Assault Vest is great when you Dynamax as well, but if you're not going for a Dynamax, then go Choice Band, and if you're going flexible, you just want to be able to Dynamax it if you want to, or not Dynamax it, you can go with Life Orb. The Pokemon hits really, really hard, so even with just Life Orb and not weakness policy, it still hits really, really well, and has a very good damage output. So next we're going to go ahead and talk about its moves. So our moveset is pretty basic, just Icicle Crash, High Horsepower, and Iron Head, and then Protect. Since we're weakness policy Dynamax, we want to just have strong stab moves as well as good max moves. So Icicle Crash is just the best physical ice type attack that we have. It provides a stab ice move, also max hailstorm to knock out things like Whimsicott in one turn with focus sash knockout with max hailstorm, which is very good. We also have high horsepower for max quake and Ironhead for max steel spike to supplement our defenses and special defenses, which is very, very good. Those are some of the best max moves. As if only we had like aerial ace on this Pokemon or something, then it would be like very, very good. It would be much better. But still, it's really good. It has great max moves, and yeah, it's good. Protect for max guard as well as regular protect is just good, solid in this Pokemon, I think. So yeah, that's what we went with. A couple of flex moves, things that we can go with, good options. Earthquake instead of high horsepower if you're going to use like Life Orb or something, or even Choice Band, you can use Earthquake instead. It's a good option. We also have Rock Slide, which is just good coverage. You could also use Stone Edge, but I like Rock Slide just because, you know, I like Rock Slide is good. Flinching is good. Then we also have Superpower for coverage, and then we have Ice Shard for a little bit of stab and priority attack, which is good. And then Icy Wind to lower our opponent's our opponent's speed. Like I said, Icy Wind puts us into a really, really good speed tier. A lot of things just barely outspeeding us. That after an Icy Wind, we're outspeeding everything. Which is really, really good. And we'll talk about speed tiers here more in a minute, but for now, let's go ahead and talk about its EVs. So its EV spread is very basic, 252 into attack and 252 into speed, and then Jolly Nature just making us as fast as possible, hitting that 145. Honestly, you could change that to Adamant if you wanted to. Definitely you could. Just because, you know, with the speed stat increase, we don't outspeed that much, but there is one neat little thing here, and I'll talk about that more in speed tiers and damage calcs, about being that Jolly Nature. But for now, let's talk about some synergetic Pokemon. So first off, we have Hitmontop, which is good because it intimidates Pokemon, which is good. Obviously, it also has Bullet Punch or Mach Punch to activate your own weakness policy, which is good. Probably Bullet Punch because then it wouldn't be Stab, so that's good. We also have Helping Hand and Wide Guard to prevent from Rock Slide and Earthquake, which is very good damage against Mamoswine, so that's pretty good. And then we also have, you know, Helping Hand to supplement our damage, which is very solid. If you don't want to activate your weakness policy immediately, you can go ahead and hit something really hard with Helping Hand and just do really big damage with something like Iron Head, Max Steel Spike, anything like that. And then we also have Primarina, which just covers our all of our weaknesses very, very well, providing really good stab moves against a lot of big Pokemon that kind of just destroy this. Things like Conkeldurr, Excadrill, Tyranitar, like a lot of really big name Pokemon that just hit Mamoswine really hard. You can hit hard really hard back with the Primarina, which is really good. It also has Aqua Jet to provide a way of self-procking our weakness policy, which is pretty valuable on this Pokemon. Anyway, that's going to be it for our move pool and move set and build and everything. Let's go ahead and move on. Speed tiers. So as far as our speed tiers go, we are at 145, which is pretty solid. We're on the same speed tiers, things like Braviary, Shiftry, Gardevoir, Chandelure, a lot of commonly fast and good Pokemon. We're on the same speed tier as, which is good. Braviary and Togekiss is also on this. Togekiss is supposed to be there instead of Shiftry. I forgot to change that out. But Togekiss is also on the same speed tier, and commonly not going to be timid as well, so it's commonly going to be like a little bit slower than us, so we can hit it with a max Hailstorm for huge damage and potentially Oko, which is really good. A couple of things that we do outspeed. So the main one that we outspeed here is Excadrill at Adamant Nature. So the reason this is so important is because if it's Jolly Nature, it's not capable of Okoing us turn 1 or even killing us through after Bullet Punch, which is really, really good. This, well, it can if it gets like an extremely high roll and we get a high roll with that, but like, you know, it's very unlikely. So that's a really cool thing. But so if we outspeed it, then we get to kill it before anything. But if it's Jolly, then it's not going to kill us. So that's the whole thing about being the nature that we are in the speed tier that we are, is to outspeed that Excadrill, which is very, very important. Next, we also outspeed Tyranitar always, unless it's Choice Scarf, but it's not very commonly Choice Scarf. And then we outspeed a lot of good Pokemon, things like Sylveon, like Grimmsnarl, Jellicent, Gothitelle, like a lot of really good Pokemon that hit that like 80 to 100 speed tier. And until that, like, you know, there's not much that we outspeed, but it's pretty relevant. And then, like I said, Icy Wind makes it so we outspeed everything like above us, or like initially above us. Things like Gyarados, Duraludon, Formchage Rotom, Excadrill, Mimikyu, Arcanine, you know, all these Pokemon that hit a very solid speed tier. we do outspeed after Icy Wind. But until then, they outspeed us, you know. And like with this build, we're not using Icy Wind, so yeah, it's not super relevant. Like all those things are gonna just be outspeeding us, which is unfortunate. Unless you like pair it with like Tailwind, that's a good option as well. Anyway, that's gonna be it for our speed tiers. Let's move on to some damage calcs here. So a lot of these are gonna be with weakness policy, and some are gonna be without, but with options. So you'll just have to look. So first off, we have our max steel spike from an Excadrill into our Mamoswine, into our Dynamax Mamoswine. This is the speed tier that I was the damage calc that I was talking about. So first off, this is Jolly. The main one is Jolly, hitting 73 to 87.5. At the bottom, we have Hitmontop hitting 13.5 to 16.2. If it hits a low speed tier of, or a chance of 73.5, and we hit a low roll of 13.5 as well, then we're looking pretty good. Very solid. But if they hit a high roll and we hit a low roll or a medium roll, then it's in a bad rate. It's in a bad position. So you kind of just have to like pray when you use this Pokemon. You have to be in a really good position. You just have to lock it out with Excadrill. But if it's Adamant, we outspeed it, and then Adamant will be doing 81 to 96.2%, so it won't be able to kill us. But if we go for a Bullet Punch as well, then it will kill us. So you have to kind of just like eye it out, you know. A lot of the time, Excadrill will be Jolly, but if it's on a Sandstorm team and it has Sandstream, Sandrush, then it's probably going to be Adamant. So you can kind of like feel that out and tell what you should do from that. Anyway, next we have our return, Mamoswine Maxquake into an Excadrill, hitting an insane amount of damage. This is with weakness policy, hitting 179 to 211. It would kill a Dynamaxed Pokemon if that one Dynamaxed. It's crazy. We have a huge damage output after weakness policy, and easily OHKOing in a Dynamax Excadrill, which is very good. Next, we have our Dynamaxed Mamoswine hitting Max Hailstorm into a very defensive Togekiss, hitting 91 to 108, giving us a 50% chance to OHKO, which is a very solid chance. However, with weakness policy, it's a very, very guaranteed OHKO, and even a chance to OHKO a Dynamax Togekiss with a defensive spread, which is very good. And if it's not a offensive spread, then we're going to just be able to OHKO it guaranteed if it Dynamaxes, which is very good. Next, we have Mamoswine Maxquake into an Incineroar. Since we can't get intimidated, this is just regular neutral Mamoswine. We provide a 120 to 142% chance to OHKO, which is a guaranteed OHKO, into an Incineroar, which is very, very good. So, yeah, OHKO without weakness policy is very good. Yes, please. Anyway, next we have Max Hailstorm from a Mamoswine into a Dragapult, a Dynamax Dragapult, hitting 85 to 101, giving us a 6.3% chance to OHKO, which is not very good. However, if we hit it with our weakness policy, we're hitting a 170 to 201.8, which is guaranteed OHKO into the Dragapult, which is very, very good, into the Dynamax Dragapult. And honestly, it doesn't do much damage to us. So even if it goes for like a Max Wormwind or something, it's only going to hit like 40 to 50%. And then with our Bullet Punch, we're going to be able to return OHKO, which is very good. So yeah, pretty good damage calcs overall. With weakness policy, insane damage output. Anyway, that's going to be it for those damage calcs. Let's talk about singles real quick. So as far as singles spotlight go, we are talking about an all-out attacker with Choice Band. Thick Fat for our ability, since Intimidate's not as prevalent. It's still obviously very good in singles, but it's not as used. So we have Choice Band here as our item, just giving us very, very good attack. We have Icicle Crash, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and Superpower. Pretty similar to our other spread. You can change Superpower into whatever coverage you need for your team, like something like Stone Edge, Iron Head, anything like that. But yeah, it's pretty solid build overall. Ice Shard also gives us that priority so that we can just kill something when we're switching it in, which is good. We have max attack and max speed, the same build there as far as our spread goes as our doubles build. Pretty basic overall, honestly. Like it's pretty normal. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like Mamoswine, leave a like and subscribe. If you like 9th Gym, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Follow my Twitter and join my Discord. I'm pretty in the dark on Twitter and Discord, but I like to support everybody and in the community, and I love being supported in the community. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. If you like Mamoswine, leave a like and subscribe. I already said that. Mamoswine is pretty cool in VGC and doubles, or VGC and singles, but it just doesn't have great, coverage and ability. Like, it's just has a very mediocre typing, and that's really it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and goodbye.